Yesterday we have discussed about the different concepts of research, like what is the definition of research, what is your understanding about the research, why the different organizations conduct different type of research, and what are the different types of the research. And we have also understand that research from the marketing perspective and from the HR perspective. So I have also discussed about the types of research, that is problem solving research and the problem identification research. So means every organization perform research before launching any product or whatever they want to do, whether you want to start a new business or anything, you have to do some initial level of research. If you take the example of Reliance Jio, so Reliance Jio is a revolution in the telecom sector because of its cost leadership strategy, you can say, because they have provided you the free calls and the 4G internet services. So these are the examples. Means Reliance Jio have not started this overnight. They have done a lot of research. They have collected data. They actually bridge the gap. Means the people actually want to have internet connectivity. Means 5 to 6 years back, I have 2 GB data for the whole month, but now I have 2 GB data for one day. So that is the change. That is the power of research. Means they have conducted the research. They know the yes, this is the actual need of the consumer, and that's why they have launched this your Reliance Jio. In the same manner, GeoMart, if you can say, they have recently launched. So GeoMart, I don't know, it's a debatable whether it's a good step or not, because if they have contacted the local retailers, again it will be a problem because it will lower down the sales of their own stores, Reliance Fresh or the Reliance Mart. So let's see whether it's a good step or not. But so research is the main thing is that I want to explain, like that before doing anything, everybody do certain kind of research, whether it's a single person or whether it's any organization or whether it's any big company. Everyone performs some research, and research is performed to have some objective. Tata Nano is also a good example. Before launching the Tata Nano, Ratan Tata have performed so many types of surveys to know the means the to know the requirement of the middle class people or the below middle class people, means actually they need a car or not. So again a research was performed there. So this is the means the thing is, before you do anything you have to perform certain kind of research, and for performing that research you must have some problem in hand, or some means there must be some objective to perform that research. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me start this. Yes, my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is the research suppliers and the services. Means every company or every organization have their own R&D department, means research and development department. But there are some organizations also who don't have this research organization or this research R&D department, or even if you have this R&D department, still you want to conduct some, you want to take some help. The companies generally take help from some outside suppliers. So these are the research suppliers who will do research on your behalf. Even like XUV has its own R&D department, but still we take the help of some external researchers. They will work on our behalf. So these are the suppliers, means internal suppliers and the external suppliers. So internal suppliers means you have everything in your own organization and you will take the help of R&D department. So the companies who have their own R&D department or organization, they have their own R&D department. They have everything. Is they have the person who are expert in the data analysis, who are expert in collection of data. So there is no requirement of hiring some outside research organization. Research organization, let's say, you can say you might have heard this Nielsen Media Research, or there is IMRB, ANSA Group. So these are the different research organization or research suppliers who work on your behalf. That is the internal, means company or any organization, if they have their own R&D department and they work independently, then that is the internal, means they are not taking the help of any outsiders. But second is research. Second type of research supplier is external research supplier. Now, external is further classified as full service and the limited service. So there may be some research organizations, they will provide you full service. Full service means when you provide them, when you suppose you start a new company, you launched a new product, let's say, and you want to know why the sales of my product is very low. So that is the objective of your research. Now, you want to conduct some research to know why the sales of my product is very low. So what you will do, you will contact some research suppliers, and they will do full research, means they will identify the variables responsible for the low sales in your product. Then they will prepare some questionnaires, then they will collect data, then they will do some analysis, and they will come up with some information. They will prepare a report and submit that report to your organization. So external means they are actually providing you full services. Clear? And the limited means they will provide you some limited services. Like if you tell them this is the objective, please collect data for these variables, or please make some questionnaires for these variables. So that is the limited service. They will not provide you the full services, but they will provide you few services. For there are some organization who means people generally don't know how to analyze. If they have data but they don't know how to analyze the data, so limited service provider generally provide you some data analysis services. Sometimes they collect data on your behalf. So that is the difference between the full service provider and the limited service provider. Means full service will provide you all the information, means from A to Z. You simply tell them that is the problem or that is the objective of my research, and they will, and from the second step to till the sixth step, they will do everything. In the limited service, whatever you want, they will do. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
so first in case of this full service provider, there is syndicated services. Syndicated services like collect information of known commercial value that they provide to multiple clients on a subscription basis. Like Nielsen Media Research provides information about the audience size and demographic characteristics of households watching a specific television program. So syndicated services, like they will provide you everything. Suppose you want to provide the ad of your product. Suppose you launch some new product and you want to give some advertisement on television, but you want to know at what timing and the sub who is your segment target market. Let's say your product is targeted to kids, so you should know what is at what time I should provide my means I should give the advertisement. What at what timing my product should be advertised in the TV. So Nelson Media will means they will not work according to you. Actually, they will provide you a general information. Like Nelson Media Research will provide you information about the audience size, like in a family, at what timing, how many consumers are watching the television, about their demographic characteristic, means whether there is a kids or not, and of the house, means everything. They will provide you a general information about the households, and you can use that information for further whether I should advertise my product on television for that particular timing or not. So syndicated services means they will provide you all the information, but they will provide you a general service, and now you have to use that information according to your requirement. Clear? Means they will not work according to you. They will work means uh, they have their own standard way of working, and you will use that information as per your requirement. Clear? Second is standardized services. It is conducted for different clients, but clients and firms, but in standard way. For example, procedures for measuring advertising effectiveness have been standardized so that the result can be compared across studies and evaluative norms can be established. So standardized services, it is conducted for different clients, means they will work according to you as per your requirement. They will do everything. They will collect data. But they will do it in a standard way. Suppose uh, I, I do some research, or I'm doing some project on to measure the consumer's stress. Consumer's stress, let's say the student's stress level. So I will contact some research organization. I want to measure. So there is a predefined, you can say, scale, or there is a questionnaire which is developed by one researcher, Cohen and Cohen, in 1980. So what they will do, they have standardized survey. If I tell them ki I want to measure the stress of the consumers, stress of the students, let's say, then what they will do, they will simply use that questionnaire, the standard questionnaire, and they will measure the stress. It doesn't matter whether it's the students or whether it's a means your parents. Means they will use the same questionnaire to measure your stress level, whether it's your parents or whether it's you. So that is, you can say, it's a drawback of the standardized services. Let's say in case of service sector, there is a scale which is called SERVQUAL, which is developed by Parshuraman, and the Parshuraman has given the five different, you can say, five factors, you can say. So they have developed the five factors to measure the service quality. That service quality is measured by only those five factors. If I ask any standardized, any organization or any research organization who are providing this standardized services, so they will measure the quality of service only on those five factors. Means they have their own standard way. They will not do any changes according to, suppose I have given the example of this student stress. So obviously students have a different kind of stress and your parents have different kind of stress. At your level you might have your career stress or you have your academic stress, but your parents have different kind of stress. So but you cannot measure both the stress with this some standard questionnaire or some standard set of questions. But standardized services, they will do it in a standard way. They will not do any changes as per your requirement. Clear? Class?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Third is customized services. Companies that tailor the research procedures to best meet the needs of each client. Means the companies that they will customize their services. They will do everything. What, suppose just like I gave the example of student research or kids stress, students stress. So I will say, please measure the kids stress or the students stress from their academic perspective. Then they will make questionnaire accordingly. They will set some questions accordingly, and then they will measure. Means I want to measure your stress level in terms of academic, in terms of your family life, in terms of your non-academic stress. So I will tell them that these are the criteria, and then they will make some questionnaire. They will identify the variables. They will make some questionnaires. Means they will customize services according to my need. Third is internet services. The companies that have specialized in conducting research on internet. It's okay. Means they will provide you everything on the online services. They will do everything online. That is called the internet services. Means they will collect data online. They will do online analysis and all, and then they will provide you report. So that is the internet services. Then limited service suppliers. Limited service suppliers means they will not do A to Z, or they will not do everything for you. They will provide you some part of your research project, some part of your research process. Let's say field services. Sometimes they will provide you field services. Field services, like they will help you in collecting data. So in field services, they will collect data through mail, through personal or telephone interviewing, and the firms that specialized in interviewing shoppers in mall. Means, so if you contact some research organization and you said, if I want to collect data for, this is my problem and this is the objective of my research, and I want to collect some data. These are the variables, and these are the questionnaire. Means you have to provide everything, and now they will work on your behalf and they will collect some data to you. They will not prepare questionnaire for you. They will not identify the variables for you. You will do everything. You will simply provide them questionnaire and ask them to collect the 10,000 data, 1,000, whatever be your sample size. So that is the field services. Second is coding and data entry services. Means editing completed questionnaire, transcribing data, and other services for input into the computer. So this is the coding and data entry. Means suppose you have collected data in a physical questionnaire. So what they will do, suppose you have a 10,000 papers, data in a physical paper, then it will be very difficult for you to do the data entry and all. So such research organizations simply provide you coding and the data entry services. Coding is done basically in case of qualitative analysis, and quantitative analysis coding, you can say, suppose I gave 10 questions to you and 1 to 5 on a 1 to 5 scale, so that will be quantitative. But qualitative, if I conduct some interview, and in that interview I will mark something, I will write something, yes, that is your suppose I give 1 to 5 scale to rate this particular class, so you will give 1 2 3 4 5 as per your choice. But if I ask you, if I interview you and I ask few questions regarding this class, then definitely you will say, you will give some statement or you will say anything. Then that is the qualitative study, means there is no numbers, you are giving your you can say response, or you can giving your view or behavior, not behavior, your view for this particular class, what is means what is your attitude towards this class, you can say. So or so in that case this that is called that qualitative research or the qualitative data. So in that case coding will be done. If I say, you will use some word fantastic, or you will say, means coding in the sense like you will in the qualitative study, if you are using any term continuously, बार बार आप कोई एक ही word को बार बार use करो, then that is called coding. I will identify here that particular person is using very good, or that particular person is using that word how many times, so that is called coding. So in for this particular research methodology paper, we will discuss only the quantitative analysis, we are not going to discuss this qualitative. So so that is the coding and the data entry services, means they will simply, you can understand it like this, like this is, they will provide you the data entry services to you, means whatever data you have collected from your questionnaire, and they will do entry on your behalf, they will maintain, you can say, database for you. Third is analytical services. Analytical services is designing and pre-testing of questionnaires, determining the best means of data collection, designing sampling plans, and other aspects of the research design. So analytical services, basically they will do the third step of the research. What is the first step? First step is problem identification. Second step in the research process is development of an approach, literature review, objective identification, and the third stage, as you remember, I discussed about the research design. So research design in the analytical services, they will provide you everything in the research design. Like they will develop questionnaire on your behalf, they will identify who will be your sample and what should be the sample size, means how you will collect data. So they will do everything for you. You simply tell them, this is the you can say this is my objective and these are the variables, and I want to conduct some study, I want to collect some data. Then analytical service provider will design questionnaire on your behalf, they will collect data, what should be the samples, they will do everything for in the research design. Then fourth is data analysis services. So data analysis services specialize in computer analysis of data, both qualitative as well as quantitative data, such as those obtained in large surveys. So data analysis, as its name suggests, data analysis simply provide you the analysis, means you will have data, now you don't know how to analyze your data, then you will simply contact some research organization who provide this data analysis services. And the data you will provide, they will do some computer analysis, they will use that software, SPSS and MOS, and then they will this qualitative analysis is simply done on one software which is known as NVivo, and this quantitative is basically done on this SPSS and the MOS software. So they will do analysis on your data and provide you the information. So that is all about the this external and the internal research, internal and the external research suppliers, and the external research suppliers are further classified as full services and the limited services. So is it clear or not?
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
What is the difference between the standardized and the customized?
Ma'am, in standardized services, they they approach the problem with a standardized method. Like, for example, if you have to, like the example that you gave, to if you
Your
have to
voice is
measure
not clear.
ma'am, can you hear me now?
Anybody else?
Ma'am, in the standardized surveys, the the question for
Okay, now today we will learn I will discuss a few more things. Like there will be few terms that are used in your research that I'll use continuously. So we will talk about all those terms. Let me open. Let me close this. Don't save. Okay. How to share? Share. Share. Right. Okay. So, do you know what is population? I'll discuss few terms, few terminologies that we will use in our coming lectures. So, population and sample. What is population and what is sample? Population is basically that all the individuals who have certain characteristics of your interest. Let's say if you want to let's take the example of this Tata Nano. So when Tata Nano was launched, who will be the populations? Means before launching the Tata Nano, some research might be conducted. So at that time, uh, who will be the population? All middle class people, middle or below middle class people will be the population. Means they possess certain characteristics. Population means all the individuals or the total individuals who have certain characteristics and you want to conduct some study on them. Let's say cigarette smokers. So in cigarette smokers, all the cigarette smokers will be the, suppose you want to conduct some study on smoking, what is the effect of smoking on consumers health, you can say. So all the smokers, all the cigarette smokers will be your population. So means population is a total of all individuals who possess certain characteristics of your interest. Next is sample. So sample is, as everybody knows, sample is a part of your population. If I say this is a population, then you will withdraw sample from your population. But we cannot withdraw sample कुछ भी ऐसे करके नहीं निकाल लेंगे. There is a rule, means your sample should be the representative of your population. If I say, if in your population, if I say the ratio of male ratio female is, let's say 3:2, then in sample also it should be 3:2. If I say the ratio of high smoker to medium smoker to low smoker is 3:2:1 in your population, that is the ratio of high smokers to medium smokers to low smokers, then in sample also the it should be same, like high smokers, medium smokers and low smokers, it should be 3:2:1. Like income also, if you can say income, high income, middle income and low income, the ratio is 1:2:3. Then in sample also you will withdraw sample accordingly, so that the ratio should be 1:2:3. Or let's say I want to do some project, so I'll take some I want some students. So in my I will take some students from the UG student. So in UG there is accounting, finance, marketing and HR also. So I will firstly calculate what is the proportion of all the students. Let's say 1:2:4:3 means accounting, finance, marketing, and HR. So this is the population, and from this population in my sample also the ratio should be same. Means there should be a ratio accounting, finance, marketing, HR. The ratio should be 1:2:4:3. Clear? So your sample, my sample should be always be the representative of your population. Second is
Ma'am, you are not audible.
now I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So अभी कहाँ तक ये पूरा ये population and sample is clear or not? I was audible
Yes.
or not?
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am,
yes.
you were.
Now, second, you know what is IDV and DV? IDV and DV. IDV is basically your independent variable and DV is your dependent variable. Means if I write an equation y is equal to a plus bx, then here x would be your IDV and y would be your DV. Okay? Means if I say the effect of this online teaching on students' performance. So online teaching will be your IDV and student performance will be your DV. Means student performance will depend on this online teaching. So this is IDV and this is DV. In any kind of problem, you should know what is independent variable and what is dependent variable. Then third concept which comes is what is endogenous construct and what is exogenous construct. Anybody knows? Endogenous and the exogenous. Endogenous and exogenous construct. See, the endogenous construct always behave like dependent variable, but this exogenous construct will behave like IDV. Okay, suppose there is some relationship like this: 1, 2, 3, and 4. You will draw a relationship. Now, for this relationship, this one, the relationship for this 1, 2, and 3, 1 and 2 is acting as IDV and 3 is acting as DV. 1 and 2 is acting as IDV and 3 is acting as DV. So this is your, so okay. Now for this relationship 3 and 4, again this 3 is acting as IDV and 4 is acting as DV. So under this situation, when a variable is acting as both IDV and DV, then we will use this term of endogenous construct and exogenous construct. Means there are 4 different variables: 1, 2, 3, and 4. The relationship between, if we check this 1, 2, 3 relationship, only this box, first box, then here 1 and 2 is acting as IDV, but 3 is acting as dependent variable. If we check in the second box, the relationship between the 3 and 4. So here 3 is acting as IDV and 4 is acting as DV. So you can see 3 is acting as both IDV and DV both. Means for first relationship is a dependent variable, but for the second relationship it is acting as a IDV. So under this situation, when a variable behaves like both IDV and DV, then we will use new term. We will not call them independent variable or dependent variable. We will simply call them endogenous construct and the exogenous construct. So this is 1, 2, will be, so here 1 and 2 will be called exogenous construct, and 3 and 4 will be called the not 3, only 4 will be called the exogenous construct, because in for the whole relationship, overall relationship, this 4 is acting as DV. So what I said, the endogenous constructs are those who behave like a dependent variable. So you will call, ma'am, here 4 is a endogenous construct, and 1, 2 and 3 will be your exogenous construct. Is it clear or not?
Ma'am, 4 is dependent on the third one.
Sorry?
Fourth is exogenous, endogenous
No,
because of
yes, because of,
third one. Na?
no, because of third one. Nahi. You will now, you will see the full relationship. In full relationship, you can see 1 and 2 is explaining 3. Now 3 is explaining 4. So in the final relationship, the this is your 4 is your, anyhow 4 is your dependent variable. So you will call this 4 dependent variable or endogenous construct. But 1, 2 and 3 will act as exogenous construct. I was explaining like this. Suppose if you have a relationship like this. Yeah. Suppose I have a relationship like this. 1, 2 and 3. 3, 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay. So this, here you cannot say that 3 is an exogenous construct, because only here one is acting as IDV, 2 is acting as IDV, and 3 is acting as DV. Okay, but you cannot say that here 1 is an exogenous construct, 2 is exogenous construct, and 3 is an endogenous. Why? Because here 3 is only acting as DV, but again when you add some new relationship 4, then here also you can see now 3 is acting as both DV and IDV. For this relationship, it is IDV. So you will say this 3 is acting as both DV and IDV, and then we will use some new term. We will not call them as an independent variable or dependent variable. We will simply call them, this is an exogenous construct. All the independent variable for the whole relationship is exogenous, and all the dependent variable will be your endogenous. So for this relationship, this 4 is acting as endogenous, and 1, 2, 3 is acting as exogenous. If I add something new, let's say आप 3 and 5 के बीच में connection कर दिया, then you can say this 4 and 5 is acting as an endogenous, and 1, 2, 3 is acting as an exogenous. Let's say if I connect this 4 and 5 with some new variable 6, then 6 will act as endogenous, and rest others 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will act as exogenous. It is clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Concept of
Yes, ma'am.
exogenous.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There is one term which is known as moderator and the mediator. Moderator and mediator. Moderator and mediator. Okay. So what is moderator and what is mediator? Moderator and mediator, actually both are same. You can say the only difference is their measuring. The only difference comes is their measuring. How are you measuring them? So we will discuss the measuring, or you can say we will discuss about the measurement and the scaling in the coming lectures. But here you should know one thing, like categorical, and the second is continuous. One is categorical and second is continuous. Okay. So this moderator is categorical and this mediator is continuous. What is this categorical and what is this continuous? Let me explain. This categorical means you are making some categories. Let's say gender. One is Preeti Shri, you want to say something? Preeti,
Ma'am.
you want to say something?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Mute your audio. So let's say gender. So gender, 1 is representing male and 2 is representing female. So in this case, you can say that this is categorical. There is no any concept of 1.5. Means 1 is male, 2 is female. If I ask you what is 1.5, no answer. Continuous, let's say age. So 35 years is okay. 36 years is okay. 35.5 years is also okay. Means 35.5 making some sense. But here 1.5, if I say 1 is representing male, 2 is representing female, what is this 1.5? It doesn't make any sense. So you will say this gender is measured on the this categorical scale, and this age is measured on the continuous scale. Or let's say income of any people. So income, money, if you say I have 4 lakh rupees in my account, or if I say I have 5 lakh rupees in my account, or if you say 4.5, so this 4.5 is making some sense. So that is, you can say income, or you can say this age is, or you can say height also, height or weight also, all are the continuous scales, all are measures on continuous. Means if you make some 0.5, then it makes some sense. But in case of mediator, moderator or categorical scale, if you make 1.5, then it doesn't make any sense. Then that is called the categorical scale. Or suppose you want to make some let's say you want to convert the age. Suppose 1 is representing all those individuals who are below 20 years. 2 is representing all those individuals who are between who are between 20 to 40 years, and 3 is representing all the individuals who are above 40 years. Okay. If I ask you what does this 1.5 represents, or what does this 2.5 represent, it doesn't make any sense. 1.5 doesn't make any sense. 2.5 कुछ नहीं मालूम आपको. So here what I did, I have converted this age. Age, initially I told you कि age is a measured in continuous, because 20 or 20.5 is making some sense. So you can say here age is measured on continuous scale. But what I did, I have categorized this scale. I have categorized this age as those who are below 20 years will be categorized as 1, those who are in between 20 to 40 years will be categorized as 2, and those who are above 40 years will be categorized as 3. So here I have made some categories. Now there is no more category for 1.5 or 2.5. So you can say here age is now converted into categorical scale. But simply 20.5 makes sense, and it is a continuous. Continuously you can measure 20.51 also makes sense. But this doesn't make any sense, 1.5 or 2.5. So that is called categorical scale. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now I was talking about the concept of mediator and the moderator. So in case of moderator, suppose there are 3 variables. Whatever study you will do, you have to identify what is your independent variable and what is your dependent variable. Whatever project you will do for your this particular research methodology paper, it will be done in group of 2, and you have to identify your variables. You have to identify your problem, you have to identify your objective, and then you have to identify your variables, and then accordingly you will work. Variables in the sense you have to identify what will be your independent variable and what will be your dependent variable. If HR personnel want to conduct some study about the, let's say, job commitment or the employee productivity, then employee productivity, what are the factors that are affecting the employee productivity? Then employee productivity will act as a dependent variable, and that factors will affect as independent variable. In the same way, in the marketing, if you want to know the consumer attitude towards any particular product or any particular services, then in that, or consumer satisfaction towards that particular product or services, then in that case satisfaction or attitude will act as dependent variable, and that factors that you will identify will act as independent variable. So every time you must have the concept of this: what is the dependent variable for my study, what is the independent variable for my study. So suppose you perform some study and there are 2 variables, variable 1 and variable 2. Okay, this is IDV and this is your DV. Suppose you enter some third variable here, this and this. Now, by the entry of this third variable, there will be the possibility that the relationship between 1 and 2 will reduce, or it may increase also. So I want to say, like, these moderators and mediators generally act as a catalyst. Just we have read in chemistry, catalysts generally increase or decrease the reactions. In the same way, this moderator or mediator will increase or decrease the degree of relationship between the two variables. Suppose this is, let's say, suppose variable 1 is Professor Rashmi, and this variable 2 is your class or your batch, and this variable third is, let's say, XUV. So initially this Professor Rashmi and this your batch does not have any relationship. We don't know me, or I don't know you people. But because of this third variable, you can say because of this XUV, we have developed some relationship. Because as this XUV entered, then some direct relationship is created between the Professor Rashmi and the your batch. So that is the work of mediator. Initially there was no relationship, but as the third variable entered, the relationship develops. So in the same way, for other variables, initially there may be some relationship, but as the entrance of third variable as it enters, it will reduce, decrease, or there will be no relation. It will either increase that relationship or it will decrease that relationship. So that is the role of mediator and moderator. The only difference is this mediator will act as all those variables which will be measured on the continuous scale, and moderator will be measured on the categorical scale. If I say the gender is, suppose there is a relationship between the income and second is expenditure. Okay, so there is some relationship. Now suppose I entered one more variable called gender. This gender will act as moderator. Why? Because gender is measured on a categorical scale. One is male and two is female. Okay, now I'll check whether the relationship for income and expenditure is higher for male or female. Means if this relationship is higher, maybe in case of male the relationship will be high, in case of female the relationship value will be low. So that is it will means as I introduce this third variable gender, it is actually decreasing or increasing the relation, or you can say we can make the comparison. Like for male the relationship is very strong, for female the relationship is very weak. So we can compare all these things like this. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
The
Yes,
concept
ma'am.
the concept of this moderator and mediator. See, अगर आपको clear नहीं होगा, मैं तो पढ़ा के निकल जाऊंगी, then आपने ही problem होने हैं बाद में. So if you have any doubt, you can ask. Who said, ma'am, I can't hear you? Anyways. Any doubt? What is alpha? In your second semester, there is a business statistic paper, I think. Class?
Yes, ma'am.
So what is alpha? Why not others are responding? Only Anurag is responding. Priti Shri,
Yes, ma'am.
what is alpha?
No idea.
Sampreet, Aishwarya, alpha सुना है कभी?
Yes, ma'am.
What is alpha? And what is confidence level? Confidence interval? And what is hypothesis? See, statistics पीछा नहीं छोड़ने वाली है, इसमें और भी यूज होने वाला है. And the paper is not so easy. आप इसको जितना lightly ले रहे हो, that is not so easy. You should know the every concept. What is hypothesis? What is alpha? What is confidence interval? What is hypothesis? Null hypothesis, alternative hypothesis. What is the difference between null and alternative hypothesis? Hypothesis is basically some predefined statement about the population. Means you make some hypothesis, you make some statement about your population, and now you will do some research on that in order to accept or reject that hypothesis. If I say job stress, job stress is related to employee productivity or employee turnover, then I will make the hypothesis that job stress is negatively related to employee productivity. Job stress is positively related to employee turnover. You can say means एक बढ़ेगा तो दूसरा कम होगा. Positively related means एक बढ़ रहा है तो दूसरा भी बढ़ रहा है. If I say negative relationship, then if one is increasing, two will also increase. So that is the hypothesis. And null hypothesis will talk about there is no relationship between the two variables. Means no relationship in the sense कि there is जो जैसा है as such रहेगा. You will not make any changes. But in alternative, you will say yes, there is some differences. If I say roll number 1 and roll number 2 are equally are good in research methodology course, means there is no difference. That would be my null hypothesis. But if I say roll number 1 is very good in research methodology as compared to roll number 2, so that would be my alternative hypothesis. Anyways, what is alpha? Level of significance. So what is this?
Probability of.
Huh?
It's the probability of. Yes,
Probability of rejecting null hypothesis when it is true. यही बोल रहे हो ना आप गूगल पे देख के. Anyways, there is one p value in statistics. You might have read this p value. P is greater than or equal to 0.05. पढ़ा है कुछ ऐसा? P value. What is this P value? This P value is basically the probability. Means it will represent
probability.
Yes, probability for what? It represents the probability of taking wrong decision. I said 95% confidence interval or 99% confidence interval means you are confident about your decision. Means 99% you are confident about your decision, like whatever decision you took for rejecting or accepting the hypothesis, that is you are 99% confident. You are 99% correct that whatever decision I took, that is correct. And this 99% confidence interval means there is a chances of 1%. Means there is a probability of 0.01%, like I will take the wrong decision. Or if I say 95% confidence interval means I am 95% confident about my this decision for accepting or rejecting that null hypothesis. If I say I am 95% confidence interval, I have 95% confidence interval, then in that case, what would be your alpha? That would be 0.05. And what would be p value? Then you say what does p value will represent? Like there is a chances of taking wrong decision is 0.05. Clear? What is this confidence interval or what is this alpha? If you have any doubt, you can ask. Class.
Ma'am, can you please explain alpha once again?
Which one? Which one?
Alpha.
Yes. Alpha is basically the level of significance जिसको बोलते हैं. And it is the आपने errors पढ़े होंगे. Type 1 error and type 2 error. Type 1. So alpha is basically your type 1 error. Type 1 error. This alpha is probability of taking wrong decision. No, probability of rejecting null hypothesis when it is true. ठीक है? Probability of rejecting null hypothesis when it is true. और ये छोड़ो, अगर आप इस concept को पूरा हटा दो, alpha is basically the chances of taking wrong decision. Alpha is basically in a very layman language, वो भूल जाओ कि probability है, ये है, वो है. Alpha is basically the chances of taking wrong decision. If I say alpha is 5%, then the chances of taking wrong decision is only 5%. I am 95% confident about my decision. Yes, कौन बोल रहा है कुछ? Hello?
मैम P और अल्फा में क्या डिफरेंस होगा था?
T is
Yes, ma'am.
basic. T is the probability. Probability means 0.05. Alpha is आपका
Ma'am, you said
percent.
that probability भी मतलब for example 0.05% to take the wrong decision.
हाँ, probability is you better know probability always one से ज़्यादा नहीं हो सकती, one से ज़्यादा नहीं हो सकती. So if I say alpha is 5% means there is a only chances of taking wrong decision is 5%, or you can say there is a means 0.05 is the probability of taking the wrong decision. Less than, तभी बोलते हैं कि P should be less than 0.05. 0.05 से always कम होना चाहिए for taking the wrong decision. Whatever decision you take, if I say sometimes आपको 1% होता है alpha, at that time you will say I am 99% confident about my decision. There is alpha is 1% means कि there is 1% chances of taking wrong decision. Okay, and here if alpha is 1%, then your probability will be, it would be low. Probability P value simply represents the probability of taking wrong decision. Clear? Probability होगी इसकी, I would take the wrong decision, chances would be very low. If I say 5%, then it would be 0.05. If I say it is a 1%, then probability would be, ये 0.01 आ कहाँ से रहा है? 1% is equal to
1 से माइनस कर
1 by 100. 1 by 100 represents your 0.01. If I say 5% is alpha, then what would be your p value? Then p value should be 5 by 100. So it would be 0.05. So p value is representing only your probability of taking wrong decision. If जितना ज़्यादा आप alpha बढ़ाओगे, उतना ज़्यादा आपका probability बढ़ेगा. जितना, suppose if you say alpha level 10%, then in that case the probability of taking wrong decision is 0.1. How? 10 by, it would be 10 by 100, and 10 by 100 represents 0.1. So that is the difference between the alpha and the T. And confidence interval. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Any doubt?
Ma'am, can you repeat what is confidence interval?
Confidence interval is basically whatever decision you take. आपने कुछ objective लेके चला, then you simply make hypothesis कि there is a positive or there is a some relationship between variable 1 and variable 2. That is your hypothesis. So you will do some analysis. Let's say आपने t test लगाते रहोगे आप statistics में. So you perform the t test or ANOVA, and on that basis you will say, ma'am, at 95% confidence level, I am accepting H1, or I am accepting my hypothesis or rejecting H1, whatever. So 95% is basically representing the confidence you have in taking correct decision. Means whatever decision you take, you are confident about it. 95% you are confident. You have the confidence of 95% कि yes, whatever decision I take, it's correct. 95% correct. 5% basically जो आपका alpha आ जाएगा कि yes, there may be the chances because of some error, the 5% chances of having wrong decision. And this P will represent the probability. P, that is the probability of taking wrong decision. Yes. Hello? Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, then attendance. And we have next class at 2 p.m. now. Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So all of you please come up with one English newspaper. We will do some activity. Class, okay?
Okay,
Yes,
ma'am.
Ma'am.
Let me give 1 minute.